to the first bonus episode. So these bonus episodes will be race or competition recaps. They obviously don't happen super often, but we'll mainly be going over my experience and what I took away from the race or competition so that you can apply my lessons learned if you're thinking about doing the same race or competition. So about a month ago, which seems like a really long time ago, but it was only like 4 weeks ago, in February, I did my first Hyrox race in Las Vegas. My friend Dione and I did the women's open doubles division, and the race ended up going a lot better than we expected, which was awesome. So going into the race and going into any race or competition, I usually have some goals. So my goals for this race was to be able to run all the laps, so not walk during the run portions, and finish under an hour and 30 minutes, and then lastly have fun. So that's always going to be my goal in any race or competition. Luckily, we accomplished all three of the goals. We ended up finishing the race in an hour and 26 minutes, and I was able to run all of the laps, so that was great. And we had fun. And our plan going into the race, so we had done a CrossFit competition before, so we kind of knew how to communicate with each other and kind of knew how each one of us worked. So again, being from a CrossFit background, like we had a rough plan for how to split up the stations, but we were basically like, our plan was to just kind of go by feel. Like for like the machine stations, we definitely had like okay, we're going to do, this amount of distance or whatever. So we actually split those up more rigidly, but then the other stations were like, okay, well, we'll try to go as far as we can and then switch. So and that's basically like the same thing during CrossFit competitions. Like you kind of have a loose plan, but then like during the workout, you never know how you're going to feel. So you kind of just adapt as you go along. So that was our plan. And the overarching plan, because Dione is a stronger runner than me. So, like I mentioned or alluded to, we both we met each other at our previous CrossFit gym, and since then, like I still do CrossFit. She's gone more into running, and so she's definitely a stronger runner than me. And so our plan overall was for me to start the stations. So when we came in from the run, I would start the station and she would finish the station so that I had a little bit of rest before going on the next run. And so, like I mentioned, for things that went well is that I was able to run all 8 laps, so I didn't have to walk on any of the running portions. There were definitely times where I was like, I kind of want to walk. But I was able to push through, and I had no pain during the run. So I think leading up to the race, like I had some like a little, like not necessarily pain, but like a little bit of soreness. Like I was like, oh, my knee is kind of doing a weird thing, my calf or whatever, my Achilles. But going into the race, I felt pretty healthy, and yeah, I felt really good during the run. So that was great. And, Dione's calves did start cramping towards the end. I didn't necessarily start cramping during the running, but my quad and calf did start cramping during one of the stations, which I'll kind of talk about in a little bit. But our target run pace was to stay under 7 minutes a kilometer, which is about an 11-minute mile pace. We were hoping to be at about 6.5 kilometers or faster. But again, we were a little bit nervous. Like I was more nervous about just running in general. Dione was more nervous about being tired during the runs because she doesn't really do as much compromise running anymore, aka like running after you've done a whole bunch of stations or a whole bunch of work. And luckily we were about, like most of our laps were about 6.5 minutes a kilometer, which is about 10.5 minute mile pace. So that was good, or that went better than expected. And then I think it was just the last kilometer that we slowed down to around 7 minutes a kilometer. I know a lot of people say that one is longer, but I don't know. I didn't understand how that one was longer, but we were definitely tired. So yeah, happy with how the run went. And other things that went well besides the run is that we were able to have, or at least I had a little bit of an ego boost during the stations because we would finish them faster than the girls next to us. So, I mean, that's always an ego boost. Okay, so I'm just going to go station by station on kind of what went well and what I wish we would have done differently. Potentially. So first station is the ski erg. So this one, everyone's going to be, it's the first station. So everyone's pretty much still going to be together from the run. And our plan here was to switch every 30 seconds. So initially our original plan was to break it up to like maybe 200 and then 150 each. So like our first set would be 200 meters each and then 150. That seems like a lot. Like I thought it was like 200, 100, whatever. Anyway, so that was our original plan. We did a half sim like the week before the race, and the coach recommended like switching every 30 seconds, and we felt that felt good because it's like we were able to keep going without like necessarily like right before we would start to get tired, the 30 seconds would, elapse, and then so we'd switch. So that's what we did for the race. I mean, it felt good, and we still finished before the ladies next to us, but I feel like we switched a lot more. Like we did a lot more transitions. And our transitions were fast, I feel like, but I don't know. I feel like we should have tested both out for like the whole thing. So for the whole 1,000 meters and not just the 500 meters like we did during the half sim, just to see which one was actually faster. But I don't know. Maybe this way was better because we weren't winded after. But yeah, ski erg was good. Next was the sled push. So for this one, I felt good. So I was like, I'm strong. So I made the mistake of doing like the entire length of the way. Instead of most of the other teams were only doing like half. So they would push halfway and then switch, and then the other person would push the rest of the way. And I think it was just like, I don't know, the adrenaline, or like I just wanted to beat the girls next to us. I don't know. But definitely like my legs didn't blow up, but like they definitely got like really tired, and I was like, oops. So yeah, I think I also overestimated myself because during training, like we were afraid of like, we hear about the carpet. The like notorious carpet, so we trained with heavier sleds, so that's why. And during the warm-up I was like, this sled feels light, so I don't know, I just overestimated myself. And either way, we did okay with this station, and next time, now I know that even if I feel good, like only go halfway and then have Dione push the sled the rest of the way, and like do that for the whole station. Okay, next was the sled pull. This one was it wasn't our worst station, surprisingly to me, but I feel like I did my biggest mistake here. So firstly, I had seen this Hyrox technique video for sled pulls, and I think a lot of the technique videos for, at least on social media, for Hyrox sled pulling the sled in Hyrox, like there's like, don't use your arms too much and like use your legs or whatever, versus my intuitive technique the first time I did sled pulls, without like before watching that video. So the first time doing a sled pull, like within all the parameters of Hyrox, so like you have to stand in the box or whatever, I did more of like a hip pop. So that was the same. So you do a hip hop to kind of get the sled going, but then I kind of I didn't necessarily walk. Like I would do the hip hop, pull the sled, and then like pull the slack with my arms. So I was still using some arms, but I was mostly relying on like the hip hop, like similar to like Olympic lifts. That's what I'm talking about with hip hop. I guess it would be easier to show you, but obviously this is audio only. And so I don't know why, once I saw that video, I was like, oh, save my arms or whatever. But like, you know, if you think about it, we don't really use arms in Hyrox. I mean, we do, but like, I don't know, most of it is legs to me. To me, most of it is legs. There's nothing like super duper arm heavy except for like the sled pull, I guess. And so I don't know, I practiced this technique like so much. I don't know why I kept trying to make it work, because I had seen a video, it was Matt Fraser's video on like the ski erg technique, like cheek to cheek, going from like your face to your butt cheeks, like short pulls but faster cadence. And like I tried it once and I was like, nah, this isn't gonna work. So I just did my normal technique on the ski erg. I don't know why I didn't do that on the sled pull. Like I don't know, I was just so like, I got so hung up on like, oh, use my legs, don't use your arms. And so yeah, it never, I don't know, I never got comfortable with that new technique. I still did it on the race day, and like I was slow, and then it felt awkward, and I actually also like tripped on the rope because the Hyrox technique, the video that I'd watched, it's like, okay, yeah, you still do the hip hop, you stand up, but you don't use your arms, you like walk the sled back. And because of that, I like tripped on the rope and actually fell. Obviously I was okay, but yeah, that should have been my indication to like switch up my technique during the race. But no, the rest of the race, I still tried to like use this technique. I don't know, like looking back on it, I'm like mad at myself about it, but yeah, so that was number one. And then number two is we got confused about how many links we had completed. So we thought we were done, but then we're like, are we done? And then because we were all on like this one side, I think we got confused because it was like the sled starts on one side and you're on the other side because you're pulling the sled to you. And then I don't know, like we counted weird, and like, we're working out, so like our, brain faculties aren't necessarily all there. So I'm like, oh, like we did all four, and then we're like, wait, did we? And so we stood there for like a long time, like probably a few seconds. But then I realized the girls next to us were like on the other side, and they were running like out of the station on the other side. We're like, oh no, we still have one more to do. So like, yeah, we had to like very quickly go back to our lane and like finish the last one. So we didn't get a penalty, I think, because we didn't like actually leave. But yeah, that definitely took a few more seconds. So I feel like we could have shaved at least a minute. One, if we weren't confused, because that took a while, and then two, like I feel like it just would have been a lot faster if I just stuck to my intuitive technique. So that was the sled pull. Next were the burpee broad jumps. So I was a little bit worried about this one too, because like I do not like burpees, but also like during training, sometimes my C-section scar would bother me. It was interesting, it wasn't all the time, but definitely I think the running plus the burpees and the broad jump portion, like it's like a lot of core, so it would kind of pull on my C-section sometimes, especially if I was tired. But this station ended up going pretty well for us. I think we were ranked pretty high, or compared to all our rankings for all the other stations, like this one was pretty good. I think it's because we established a pretty good rhythm, maybe also because it was like more cardio versus like the sleds, I don't know, but so yeah, it went pretty good. But we did choose the wrong lane, because when we got to the station, the person was like, oh, like choose an open lane, and like all of them kind of had a person in them, but then like the very first lane, we should have gone to like the last lanes, the ones more on the the right. But the first one I was like, oh, they're like far enough away, like we'll do this one. But we were so fast, like we went faster than we thought, and so we were so fast we like caught up to them. And then so one of the judges, we're like, oh, can we pass them? They're like, yeah. But then the person next to us was like, just like, they weren't even with us, but they were just close enough that like it would have been super awkward to like pass. But in the end Dione passed for us because we're like and yeah, we did kind of like get in their way for like a second, or like they had to pause because yeah, when Dione did her burpee, like the person like couldn't go forward. So like, oops, sorry. But yeah, we chose the wrong lane, but we still did pretty good because we both had like a pretty good rhythm for the burpee. So yeah, we finished this station pretty quickly. And so next was the row. This was our best station. I think we were ranked in the 100s out of like, I don't know how many, over 1,000 pairs. But for this one, our goal, or we broke it up with where Dione did 250 meters, and then I did the middle part, so 500 meters, and then she did 250 again. Partly because we had saw this is I feel like this is like a recurring thing. We saw a video like maybe the week of the race that recommended not breaking up the road too much, not like the ski erg. I think partially because like getting in and out of the foot straps it takes a lot longer than like a ski erg. You just let go of the handles and then the next person grabs them. So there's a little bit more to the transitions for the row. And then Dione doesn't like rowing, so she's like, I'm gonna break it up more. So yeah, this one, like, I'm pretty proficient at rowing. I feel like I should be better because I'm 5'9", so I'm fairly tall for a woman, but I feel like I should do better on rowing than I am, or have more power in my legs. But either way, like, I did pretty well on the 500. And it was funny because during my section or during my set, like, I was starting to get kind of tired. But then, like, I kind of, like, looked on the monitor for the girls next to me, and I was going like, my pace was way faster than theirs, so I was like, okay, I can slow down a little bit and, like, rest. So yeah, I was able to slow down a little bit to rest. So that's how fast we were going. So yeah, this one did really good. Next one was the farmer's carry. So this is like, back half of the race, starting to get pretty tired. And yeah, my legs were starting to get tired. So again, I didn't cramp during the actual run portion, but once we got to the kettlebells, like, I picked up the kettlebell and I was like, oh no, like, my legs. So, I don't remember. I think I still started the station because there were a couple stations where, besides the row that Dione ended up starting at, because I was like, I needed to recover a little bit more from the run. But I'm pretty sure I started this one. I don't remember. But anyway, like, so I was like, well, all the girls around me are running still with the kettlebells. So, like, walking to the station, or to this, like, from picking up your kettlebell to the start of the station, I was like, okay, like, my calf doesn't like this. So I tried to run, but then my quad was like, no, I don't like this either. And so I was like, running, like, trying to run and then trying to walk fast, and then it just was not working too well. And then, so yeah, I would have to switch. And so I feel like Dione did more of the work here. I have no idea if that was actually true, but she was able to run with the kettlebells. I was just, like, struggling the whole time with the farmer's carry. But I think the farmer's carry was still okay. Like, it wasn't I thought this one would be the worst. Well, this one or the sled pull. I thought one of these two would be the worst. But the actual worst one for us was the sandbag lunges, which was surprising to me because, I don't know, I thought this was going to be one of our stronger stations. I'm usually really good with lunges. I don't know, I guess partially because I have longer legs. So again, I can, like, step farther. But then even during training, like, any weight felt like the weight that we used for the race felt just super, like, almost like nothing, felt super easy. And then during during the half sim, we had even like trained with like a heavier weight because that's all the gym had. I think it was like double the weight, and that felt pretty easy to me too. Obviously my legs were tired by now, so these lunges felt a little bit more difficult than usual, but I still feel like we were going fast, or relatively quickly. But we ended up being ranked the lowest out of all of the other stations. So like our ranking for this one was like 1,000 something. And the next lowest ranking was like 700, in the 700s, and that was the sled pull and the sled push. So yeah, I don't know if it was just like we were going slower than we thought we were, or if we just took too long for the transitions. But yeah, I feel like this one, we'll just need to improve our efficiency with the sandbag lunges. And then the last station were wall balls. So Gioni and I are both CrossFitters, or former CrossFitters, so this was a pretty comfortable station for us. I guess I won't say I like wall balls, but I tolerate them, I guess, more than Dione does. Again, I'm taller, so they're a little bit easier for me. But yeah, we both finished we finished this one in like 4 minutes, and we didn't. So again, we didn't like. We were faster than a lot of the other girls around us again. Yeah, but I also thought we would rank higher for this one, but I mean, we ranked pretty high, like about 300, in the 300s, I think. But I think it would have been faster. We learned after the fact that we could have just passed the ball to each other instead of each time letting it drop, because we thought we had to. I think that was the old rule. So next, I think it would obviously be faster if we want, like, for the transitions, we catch the ball and then pass it to our partner. And then I feel like I could have done bigger sets, but we basically split it up into sets of like 20 and 15. I think like the first set was like 20, and then after that was like around 15 or so. I feel like because we're getting natural rest because we're switching, so I feel like I could have kept up with 20s. But sometimes when you're tired, like, we're like, once you have in your head is, because it went through my head, it's like maybe I should do 20, but then like I had already like set the expectation in my head, like, okay, now I'm going to do 15 for the rest of the station. Like, that stuck in my head, so then my body, like, once I got to the 15 rep mark, I was like, nah, I'm gonna pass it. So but yeah, wall balls went well, like nothing really big to report here, and then that was the end of the race. So yeah, we did, so overall went pretty well. There was just like a couple things here and there that were like, oh, that could have gone better, but overall pretty happy with our time. So our time was an hour and 26 minutes. I feel like if we hadn't had the sled pull fiasco, maybe we would have gotten like 125. But a big thing so looking at our breakdown, there was like a cool website that kind of broke down all your times and stuff. And we spent most of the time running, which we already knew. But for people who still get really concerned about the stations in Hyrox, like, yeah, you have to get through the stations, but this race is really about the run. And so looking at our particular breakdown, like, we spent about 50 minutes running and 28 minutes in the stations. And like the extra time was, like during the transitions and stuff, and going through the rock zone. And so that means roughly 2/3 of the race was running. And so it's like, I talk about the stations, I talk about what could have, like how we can go a little bit faster or not, but like the biggest time difference is going to be improving on running. And it'll be me improving on running because there were times where like it seemed like Dione wanted to go faster, and I'm like, I'm going to stay at this pace. And she did tell me though, like, she felt like she wanted to go faster, but she was also glad when I was like, I want to stay here. So, but like I mentioned, she's definitely a stronger runner than I am. So to improve our time for next time, the biggest opportunities are going to be improving our run pace, aka me improving my natural run pace, cleaning up the transitions, because I really feel like that was our downfall during the lunges, and it could have made our wall balls faster too. So, I mean, we don't need, it's just, I think the wall balls is more of an ego thing since I'm a CrossFitter, to go faster on the wall balls. And then the sled pull, like we definitely did lose quite a bit of time there, in the sled pull, but the biggest differentiator is definitely going to be the run. So my comfortable running pace right now is about like 10 to 10 and a half minutes per mile. If I'm tired, then yeah, it goes to like 11 minutes. But especially with my racing shoes compared to my training shoes, like in my racing shoes, I consistently will get like 10 minute mile pace, maybe 9.5 minute mile, but you know, also considering the stations and the fatigue from that. And so if I can improve it to be 9.5 minutes per mile, so just, I don't know, off the top of my head, like on a normal run in my racing shoes, like maybe a 9-minute mile pace, so that if I'm tired, then it's like averages out to 9.5 minutes per mile. I feel like that would make a huge difference on our time. So yeah, the race was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. I mean, I knew I would have fun with it, until I think it was more when I realized it was more of a running race that I got a little bit more worried. And then, but despite that, like I still had fun, and it gives me another reason to work on my running, besides triathlon, because for triathlon the run is at the end, so it's just kind of like at that point, like you kind of, or at least for me, like I kind of hope for a specific like run pace and to finish like for the sprint, like in the 5K in a certain amount of time. But at that point it's just like survival mode because you're tired. But like doing Hyrox races kind of gives me another like reason to work on my running. But like, you know, I'm not going to focus on Hyrox year round. I mean, I guess I don't focus on triathlon year round, but I definitely like, I'll prioritize CrossFit during like my quote unquote off season, and then in the months up leading up to like a triathlon, I'll like switch over and do more of the triathlon stuff, so swim, bike, run, and a little bit less CrossFit classes. I feel like for Hyrox, because I'm already doing CrossFit and I'm already doing endurance stuff with triathlon, Hyrox is just kind of something that for me slots in pretty well and tests like a little bit of strength, mostly run, endurance, performance, and once we get up to, or leading up to our next race, Dione and I will practice a little bit more, but I feel like I don't necessarily need to change the way that I'm training currently in order to get better at Hyrox, because I'm already running and wanting to improve my running. So, but yeah, this was fun. Dione and I were already like, let's do Anaheim, and so they released the dates, so we're most like 99% sure we're going to sign up for the race in Anaheim in December, and then probably do Vegas again, since we live here, next year. And so I didn't want to say it on this podcast, but I'm already thinking like hopefully we get like 115. That would be really awesome, but even like under 120 would be pretty good, I think. So we shall see if we achieve that. But yeah, this was a fun race. Hope you found this interesting, and yeah, I'll see you in the next conversation.